Good evening, everyone. My name is Annette MacMullin, and I'm happy to be here with you this evening. I do want to say that I know financial aid is important to many, but I do understand that it may not be for all. Even if you're not an aid applicant, please bear with me as I talk through the next few slides to get you to the next event. So our agenda tonight is applying for financial aid, the types of financial aid as an overview, your aid eligibility determination, the 24-25 timeline, and information about how you can fill the gap on paying the difference from what your financial aid will cover. So the first step in applying for financial aid is to do what is called the FAFSA. It's a free application for federal student aid. And I always tell everyone, if you are a U.S. citizen or eligible permanent resident, you are eligible to apply for federal student aid. So the FAFSA became available in late December. It is required by all colleges, and it must be completed each year. So you don't just file once and then you're done. You have to refile each year. So you start by creating what is called an FSA, which is Federal Student Aid ID, and a password. And you do that by visiting studentaid.gov. That's a really wonderful website for all students and parents to become familiar with in applying for federal aid, because you will go there often for different reasons. So both students and a parent will need one. And it's really important to safeguard that, because you're going to need that in future years. It's going to become your electronic signature when you file a FAFSA each year, and when you sign documents, if you're going to enter into applying for loans, whether it's a parent loan or whether it's a student loan, whether you have to complete your entrance interview, your master promissory note, things like that. So once you do obtain an FSA ID and a password, you want to keep that in a secure place so you'll remember to go to it each year. You as the student will go in, and when you complete your FAFSA or begin to complete it, you will then assign a contributor. The contributor is going to be the parent that is going to provide or has provided the most financial information for you over the last year. So that information will be forthcoming once you enter into applying for FAFSA, once you go to the studentaid.gov website. If you are having FAFSA filing issues, which it has calmed down since January, this is the phone number to contact for individuals that can help you through the process if you're stuck. So the easiest way I tell people to remember it is it's 1-800-4-FED-AID, and the number is here for you. We can always give it to you as well. So your student aid index, that is going to be the amount that a family has the ability to absorb for 1 year of college costs. It's not necessarily what you have to pay. So this is a little difficult, right? Everyone's assigned this SAI, but we take our total cost of attendance and we subtract your SAI to come up with your financial need. And then your remaining need is how schools are going to determine your eligibility for your need-based funding. And the same federal formula is used for every family at every college. Some colleges may also use an institutional financial aid formula to determine your eligibility. So far here at Merrimack, we only require the FAFSA, so we don't ask you to complete any other form. The federal government does believe, though, that families do have the primary responsibility for paying for college. There are 3 main types of financial aid: the scholarships and grants. Scholarships and grants are wonderful because they don't have to be paid back, right? So you get that and it's free money. So anytime you can get a scholarship or a grant, that's awesome. Student and parent loans are available. You do have to borrow, and once you enter into borrowing, you do have to repay those. There's also federal work study. Federal work study is offered by the government for those students who demonstrate financial need, but it doesn't mean that you are disqualified from working, because at Merrimack, we also have student employment. So if you don't qualify for federal work study, there are still jobs on campus that you could obtain that would be paid through student employment. So let me talk a little bit about need-based aid. So that's going to be based on your family's financial eligibility, which is determined by the information that you put on your FAFSA, and that then gives the SAI, which is called Student Aid Index. So your eligibility is determined by this particular standard formula, and your SAI estimated perhaps was given to you if you have already filed your FAFSA, and you would have received an email from the Department of Education that would have told you your estimated SAI. If you saved that information, that's great. Now you'll have an idea of what that is. If you didn't, that's okay too. So need-based aid could include grants, loans, and work study. However, in order to receive federal student aid, you must be making academic progress. The good news at Merrimack is that if you fall below academic progress, you will still receive your institutional aid, which means your need-based grant aid, as well as your merit scholarship. However, your merit scholarship will be turned into a grant, but you do not lose the funding portion of that. So you can count on your funding from Merrimack anyway, going forward, if you happen to fall below academic progress for a time and you're still working on getting your grades up and your percentage up. So that's a wonderful thing that we offer here. Not many colleges do that. You may lose your financial aid if you're not making academic progress. So academic progress at Merrimack means that you have to, after your first year, attain a 1.6 grade point average or better, and your progress for your attempted credits and your earned credits, the combination of those things, you have had to attain 67% of your attempted credits that equal earned credits. So that's the calculation. So just wanted to make sure that you knew that we have this uniqueness at Merrimack, that you don't lose your institutional aid if you fell below your academic progress and you're working on doing, things to attain a better GPA or a better progress level. So our timeline for financial aid this year is different than other years. So the FAFSA became available in December 23 this year, where in the past it has been available October 1st. The federal government is hoping that they will go to the October 1st for 2024 so that you can apply again for your returning years in October. So January 24, processing delays occurred and a formula change happened that delayed the release of the FAFSA data to colleges. So we were hoping to get your information sooner. But the good news is that the federal government has now started to release in very slow batches your information to colleges. So we will soon receive this information over the next 2 to 3 weeks. So we don't have it yet, but we are very hopeful that they are still going to stick to their time frame. So we are going to then, once we receive your information, do what we need to do at Merrimack to prepare your financial aid award offer. And we are hoping to be able to do that, not right away. So don't think that as soon as we get your information, we're going to turn around your aid offer. It's going to take us a little bit of time to process your information, but please rest assured that we are going to work quickly as possible to get your aid offer to you right away as soon as we can. But what can you do now, right? So if you haven't filed the FAFSA, I always say it's a great thing to do because filing for FAFSA is free. And if something happens with your family's financial circumstances 6 months from now, if we already have your FAFSA on file, it's easier for us to work with you and your family. And you can then tell us what has changed with your financial picture. And if you're in a trying time, it's going to be more daunting for you to go in and start your FAFSA process during a trying experience that you're going through. So we say, file, it's free, we have it on file. Something changes, our financial aid office is willing to work with you and your family to help you through that difficult financial time. So verify once you have filed that Merrimack is listed on your information. Once you receive an email saying that they have processed your form, it'll take them a little bit once you've filed if you have not yet filed. Also, Merrimack needs your Social Security number. So if you didn't provide your Social Security number on your Common App, please contact our admission area either via your portal or on directly on calling us. We have our number listed here. You can call our main number, you can give it over the phone, but please never ever email your Social Security number to anyone. And we also suggest, while you're waiting for your financial aid information to come through, that you can apply now for outside scholarships if you haven't already started that process. So you can also research student and parent loan options under merrimack.edu/aid/types. So here is where a lot of information is explained about how you can begin that research now. We don't suggest that you apply now. We suggest that you just know the process so that you can apply once you have made your deposit. So now filling the gap. So here's some information that we suggest about filling the gap. So again, outside scholarships, anytime you can get free money, that's going to be best for you. You can check with your high school, your library, your community organizations, and doing a web search. The only thing that what I will say about web searches is just be kind of careful about the specific web search that you do, because some companies for scholarships may want to use your information for your email for other purposes. So look for the caveats on that and be careful. We do have a small outside scholarship web information on Merrimack's page under our types of aid, so you can also check there as well. I talked a little bit earlier about student employment. Student employment, again, can be work study, which is when you're federally eligible based on your FAFSA data. But also student employment can be on campus where you obtain a job and the college is going to pay you on a biweekly basis them directly for student employment. Private loans. Most private loans are where students are the borrowers and parents are the co-signers. Most students cannot obtain a private loan on their own because you have not yet obtained credit. So most likely lenders, private loan lenders under education loans, are not going to allow students to borrow on their own, but they will on the basis of a parent or other creditworthy cosigner. So it doesn't necessarily have to be your parent. So if you have a grandparent or an aunt or an uncle that's willing to be your cosigner, you can still obtain one of these educational loans to help you fill the gap of what it's going to cost to attend. Once you receive your financial aid, you will have your estimated direct costs, so you will know for the year. And we always say you should apply for loans for the entire year, not just for a semester. So that's something important too. Anytime you have a change in financial circumstances since you filed the FAFSA, it's really important for us to know that, because we might be able to help you obtain some additional financial aid. So we do have what we call the Dependent Special Condition form on our website. So you can find that under financial aid once you log into merrimack.edu and you go to the admission and financial aid, and you will find that we have under forms the Dependent Special Condition form. You're not able to update your FAFSA with any changes in your financial circumstances. You do have to notify colleges directly. Anytime you want to fill the gap regarding changes of residency, so if you are in commutable distance and we do not require you to live on campus, if you do want to change that residency status as an incoming student from resident to commuter, your costs could be lower. If you do reside on campus as a first-year student, you are subject to our institutional policy of a change in residency going forward. If you do change to a commuter in future years, if you are living at home. If you do rent via a lease, then your institutional aid will still be considered as you are a resident, because you have to pay those extra costs. We also have a payment plan at Merrimack. So you could do a 6-month, a 5-month, or a 4-month payment plan. So that information will be forthcoming as well. Financial aid is part of our Warrior One Stop. So Warrior One Stop means that you can do several transactions in one place. So we do financial aid, we do billing, we have registration, parking, the MAC card ID, and student employment. We are located in Austin Hall on the first floor. And our hours are Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. So we welcome you at any time to stop in. We don't require an appointment for you to visit. And so anytime you would like to get answers to your student questions, please feel free to come in and our representatives will assist you. Our financial aid staff, just for a visual here, is here, and you will be assigned a financial aid counselor who will work with you throughout the process. So your financial aid counselor is the one that you will share your information with. However, we do work as a team, so all of us together will help you if someone is not available. But your specific counselor will work with your information so you don't have to share all of your personal information with everyone. You tell that one counselor who's assigned to you, and you give that information to them, and then they will work with you going forward to assist you. Now, I will address questions that you have perhaps asked during this time.
Thank you so much, Annette. That was really, really helpful. And I'm sure our families feel a lot more educated about the process now that they've heard what you know from you. Our staff and ambassadors have done an incredible job of clearing out the Q&A. So we got through a lot of questions while you were chatting, but I do want to give folks the ability to ask any more questions they might have about the financial aid process or what to expect. So we'll just give folks a minute or two to kind of enter in their last questions. Okay, a question came in, Annette, about payment plans. Can you talk a bit about payment plan options?
Sure, that's where families can decide what they would like to put aside to make for payments on a monthly basis. It is a semesterly plan, and it is $55 a semester to sign up for. So you can sign up for the fall semester. If you want the 6-month plan, you may have to estimate what you would want to put toward the plan, but just know that it can be changed at any time. So a family decides they can pay out of pocket $1,500 a month, then that's what they can do. They can do a combination of applying for a parent loan, applying for a student loan, and the payment plan. It does not have to be one or the other. But if you're just looking for a payment plan, once you receive your financial aid offer, you'll have a good idea what your net costs will be for the year. You will have to divide that by 2, and then that will be the estimated semesterly plan. Once the final bill comes out, then that information will be the most accurate, because our financial aid offers are estimates until the Board of Trustees determines what the tuition rates and the housing and fee rates will be for the upcoming year. That typically does not happen until June. So we will get you the best estimate that we can prior to that. So if families want to enroll, then again, it's that $55 fee for the semester, and then they can change the plan at any time.
Thank you. Another question came in, Annette, from a parent who is desperate to update their FAFSA, but keeps getting a pop-up message saying, please try again later. Can you help this parent?
Sure. I mean, we're all in this together. Please know that this is definitely a different year for all of us and not expected. So once the federal government releases more of the FAFSA data to the colleges, which they will be doing over the next couple of weeks, then people, please ask for your patience that once that information is released toward the end of March is what they're expecting, then when they'll get caught up. And that's when you'll be able to go in and make any corrections or updates. And for those families that may have also not sure if Merrimack was one of the colleges that you added, you won't be able to make any corrections to your existing FAFSA until it's been quote unquote processed by the federal government. So they're not going to get caught up for till the next couple of weeks, but I estimate that parents and students will receive that email saying that it has been processed very soon, depending upon the timing of when the FAFSA was originally filed, because that's how they are being released.
Does that also include, Annette, adding additional schools onto your FAFSA?
Yes, because students cannot access the FAFSA to make any updates or corrections until it has been initially processed.
Thank you. That is definitely helpful. We have another parent who is asking about the SAI. What does that mean? Is that something they should have received by now? How do they know what their SAI is?
That's a great question. So some families who may have applied early in the process may have received an estimated SAI, which is a student aid index. Some families may not have received that because the process froze at the end of January once the federal government determined that they forgot to add inflation to the formula. So students were looking to be less eligible for some of the programs instead of more eligible. So they decided that they were going to halt the process for everyone and recalculate everyone's student aid index to make sure that it was the most accurate and not send schools the initial application information with the wrong information. So they halted it, they halted the process. And so then they went back and are recalculating now to make sure that every consideration has been made to make the student the most eligible for these programs that they can be.
Great, thank you. And we have a couple of questions in here from folks who are a little worried that with the delays with FAFSA and getting their information to schools, that might obviously prolong the process of them getting their packages and that they may not make the May 1 deadline. And I'm happy to take this question, Annette, if you'd prefer. But there are folks wondering, is Merrimack going to be extending the deadline? You want me to take a stab at this one?
Yes, please.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so at this point, our deadline continues to be May 1, but we are reevaluating on a daily basis at this point as we learn more information about what's coming down the pipeline in terms of any additional delays from FAFSA. So at this time, as Annette said, we anticipate getting packages out at some point in April. As we continue to learn more, of course, we want you to make an informed, comfortable decision. So when we get more information, if we determine that there is the need to extend the deadline, we will certainly do that. We encourage all families to be in touch with your admission counselor as well, so that we can provide you more up-to-date details and get you on a plan that you feel really comfortable with. Okay, let's see. Any other big questions that are jumping out? Okay, I think those are the big ones, Annette. I think we're good on our end. I think these
Great.
last few we can answer in the chat.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, thank you so much for your time tonight, Annette.
You're welcome.
I also want to share with our families before we transition to the optional tour that in an effort to get you your financial aid packages as quickly as possible, what you can expect to see in your inbox is an email from Merrimack with a survey. If you know what your student aid index amount is, if you received an email when you filed that had your amount on there, or you used the FAFSA estimator tool, you are welcome to provide that information to Merrimack. We are collecting that information and we will be using that on our end so that as FAFSA information comes in, we are able to expedite this as much as possible. So keep an eye out on your inbox. And again, if you have that, you are welcome to share it with us and it will just kind of help us keep this ball moving as quickly as possible. So thank you for joining us for the financial aid portion, and I'm going to throw it over to our students.